Hi everyone, welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us, as it all contributes to our mission of expanding this community. So please don't hesitate to leave your thoughts below. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Today's video includes a compilation of several of the many important questions Alex Collier has received over the past few years, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
Who or what is Lucifer, and how does it relate to our history, as well as how the deep state is using, or more likely being used, by the Luciferian agenda, attempting to steer the future?
Oh. This is an interesting thought. This is an interesting thing to unravel. So I have talked about this in the past in little bits and pieces. But let's just, for now, for this moment, unravel Lucifer. That persona is more or less a title. Now, that originally comes out of the Old Testament. I want you to be aware of the fact that the New Testament is a plagiarized version of Chaldean history. Okay? That was taken by the Ibri, and they basically rewrote it, writing themselves into the picture. Now, let's just hypothetically say that Yahweh is Enki. Let's hypothetically say that the opposing god to Yahweh would be Enlil. And let's just hypothesize that Jehovah worked for Enlil as a subordinate officer. And the 40 years in the desert was a weekend to these people because they lived thousands of years. So instead of giving real, genuine names, the names of the personages had to be changed. Now, if you go to the Greek, you go to the Sumerian, you go to the Roman, you go to the Indian texts, you even go to the Arab texts, much of which still has not been read. The Arab texts I'm referring to. They tell very similar stories, but the names of the players are different. And that's because of the change in language. Now, the way it was done in the Old Testament was extremely clever. And in that, you also have several other books which are not in the Old Testament. That would be the Torah and the books of Moses. And those specifically are about magic. Magic. And we're going to get into that in the next webinar. So, who is Lucifer? The title, the name. It has fit several different personages who weren't given the title Lucifer throughout the 450 to 525,000 years. Currently, the living personage that would fit would probably be Marduk. And essentially what it is that that personage represents a position that would contradict the ruling extraterrestrial races. Now, all of them, regardless of the fact that they came from another dimension, are extraterrestrial. They may be multidimensional beings, but in their dimension, they are physical and they're an extraterrestrial. You understand? Just because they come from there to here does not mean they're anything other than an extraterrestrial, or an interdimensional and an extraterrestrial are in fact the same. There is no reason to complicate this with all this other stuff that everybody does. Just because they come from one dimension of physicality to another doesn't mean they aren't physical. Because in their dimension, when they travel to another star system, they're an extraterrestrial from another star system. It's a no-brainer. The Luciferian agenda is no different than many agendas, than the agenda from the Orion Group, or for a time the Aldebarans, for a time the reptilian races, for a time the Zeta 2s from Zeta B, and many other races throughout our galaxy and the other. They want power and control over others. That's basically what it represents. And to varying degrees, they are very manipulative, very destructive, very cunning. Now, I realize that, you see, this is really complicated, and just to throw another curve into what I was just talking about. In the books, the Gods of Eden by William Bramley, which I suggest everyone read. Literally, everyone read. They ought to have kids in school read this stuff. This book, based on his research, there was a skirmish, a fight between two brothers, Enki and Enlil. Enlil was the full-blooded son of Anu, who was considered the Ishwish god, per se. And there were issues between the brothers. Enki lost. He was humiliated. And, he who writes history, he who wins the war writes history. And based on the information that he's been able to trace, Enki was labeled Lucifer for a time. So, what's fascinating is that now you have the Vatican, the church, who for 2,000 years pretended to know the difference between right and wrong. And frankly, they didn't give a shit one way or the other. They were all about staying in power. They're now praying and worshiping to Lucifer. And they're doing it openly. Which means that ultimately the truth is going to be coming out here very, very soon as to exactly what all that means. And you do realize that once all of that is brought out into the open, who each personage is, which star system each personage comes from, what their contribution and malevolence was toward humanity, many books will become completely irrelevant. Now, that's not to say there isn't a creator. There is. There is a generator of dimensions. But it's none of the personages in these books. We're in for exciting times. This, I have tried several times in the past to talk about this stuff, and I just got crucified for it. And I don't know if it's the time for that just yet. I simply don't. Because I still have loved ones I'm trying to protect. So let's revisit that question, but I think I gave you enough to at least get you to research and pique your curiosity and to ask yourself questions. And in order to ask yourself those questions, you have to think about the issues in a very different way. In other words, separate yourself from the dogma and look at things objectively. And in doing so, you will see things differently. It's like taking the entire universe and trying to put it into a chapter this big and have it make sense. And you can't do it. You just can't do it. Because this tells you nothing. Literally, it tells you nothing. All right. I'm probably in a lot of trouble already.
Alex, thanks for your insights. When the A's looked into future and saw tyranny on Earth, can we assume they saw the awakening of humanity also, and how long it took? Did they say years, decades, or centuries for this to happen, or has the awakening timeline changed?
Well, every time you look at the future, it changes. And it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in 4th, 5th, 6th density, 7th density, or 3rd. It changes. And the reason it changes is because you saw it. Now, let me give you an example. As far as the timelines, I think we're doing quite well. Do I know exactly when everyone will feel the shift? Hell, it could be tomorrow. I don't know. But I want you to look at this idea. If you had the ability to truly peer into the future, technology whether you had technology or superpowers, and you could truly look into the future on one of two timelines. And let's say you were on another timeline and you looked at the future and you looked into this timeline and you saw a future probability. The fact that you moved in and your consciousness from one timeline entered another timeline, you have altered that timeline. That is known as the Mandela effect. And it can cause a very subtle change in something you had no interest in, nor something that you looked at. It wouldn't matter. It creates a change. And the same as if you're on this timeline and you looked into another timeline, you would alter that timeline as well, and they would experience a Mandela effect. Something would be changed, it would be altered. We have multidimensional beings on the ground around the earth, moving in and out of this reality and this timeline. We have earth-based technology that is being used to look into the future and specific timelines. They're also causing a ripple, a shift, a change. Whoever the creator is, they're extremely brilliant. They really are. Because no matter what you do, you are pushed to evolve. In other words, there's no cheating. You may look into the future, but you've altered that future, which means you still have to participate. There is no sure thing, because somewhere, somehow, you've altered something. So we just have to go with the process. We have to go with the flow. And it doesn't matter even if you're regressive. Even if you're choosing to go the other way, you still have the same challenges. Somewhere along the way, you're going to have to continue. You're going to have to do an about face and continue to evolve. All the broken pieces find their way home. Just what it is. And that's just how it is. The movement of light, the movement of higher consciousness is already past the point of no return. It can't go the other way. We are literally just playing this out. And that's why I think some say it's a movie, because in many respects it is. The outcome is assured. How it manifests still remains to be a mystery. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to go reverse back into the other direction. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, because there is so much consciousness, there is so much focus, there is so much energy from third, fourth, fifth, sixth, focused on this scenario with the cognitive decision that this planet and the beings on it were going to assist to evolve into higher consciousness. Now, basically, bottom line, it's already happened. We're just playing it out. physically. But on the higher realms, it's already happened. I told you that in fifth density, there is a place for Earth. And there is a placeholder there. It's like a holograph that is holding that space for her. This planet here, there. This is going to happen. It's going to happen. Everything that we're going to see, the dramas that we're going to see play out, the unfolding of the stories that we're going to find out about, the unfolding of history as it's laid out before us, is going to be staggering. Someone said, how bad is it going to get? I think that's one of the questions coming up. I don't know that bad's the right word. How uncomfortable is it going to get is probably a better word to use. And it's going to become uncomfortable because what we're going to realize, other than the relationships that we have with each other, and I mean that, the relationships that we have with each other, a lot of the reality that we've been living in will turn out to be bullshit. It will turn out to be a manipulation designed to enslave. A soul trap. Okay? What's going to matter most? And we're into this now. We are totally into this now. Is being secure with who we are individually, with yourself, your families, and the protecting of all of us together. In other words, each one of us, we're all going to realize, we're all going to have the epiphany that we are family. And that means we're going to start really protecting each other. And when that happens, we can end child trafficking. We can end child organ harvesting, which is absolutely despicable. The shit that goes on down here. The challenge is going to be forgiveness. That's going to be a mother to deal with. Because there are off-world beings that are scumbags, and we will all have a general opinion of them, at least those that are regressive. But our own kind that have done some of the things that they've done, that's going to be a tough one, folks. That's going to be a real challenge for us. Because they've acted more like them and not us. And forgiveness is going to be a real challenge. But we have to evolve. So what this is going to do is it's going to force all of us to look at ourselves in a completely different way. To think of the issues that we have as a civilization in a completely different way. How are we going to solve these problems? How are we going to overcome these issues? Every single one of us is going to be forced outside the box and to have to look at this situation in a completely different way, minus all the indoctrination that we've had for many lifetimes. The realization that culture is an issue, where we're going to realize it's all bullshit. The realization that religious belief is an issue, that's all bullshit. Because these are all manipulations. The fact that the color of our skin is an issue, that's all bullshit. That was a manipulation. So when we come to that conclusion, we're going to have to look at ourselves in a completely different way. It's going to be a challenge. It is definitely going to be a challenge. There is no doubts about it. But when is humanity at its best? It's when its back is against the wall, because then we're forced to make a change, to do something different, to put others ahead of ourselves, like first responders and firemen and cops and soldiers. When the bullets are flying, they're running to the bullets. They're not running away. Could you imagine if humanity did that?
When you said last week that lots of people would be taken off planet, what did you mean? Which people and why? Do the negative ones obey any kind of cosmic laws or face any karma for their actions? Thank you, Jane.
What I was referencing is that as consciousness rises with the planet, those who are in harmony with the planet, with the general overall consciousness of our civilization, they will continue on their physical journey. Those who choose to go in the opposite direction, they will be removed. Now, those that are not of us, those who are not our genetic equivalent, those who are truly off-worlders, let me put it that way, they're in the process of being removed, dead or alive. Those that are hybrids, whose frequency is more aligned to the regressives, they in fact will either be removed physically or not. Their offspring will have an opportunity to choose to become part of society or not. If they choose to not, they will more than likely die off for any one of a dozen reasons, because their bodies will not handle the frequency. Now, you have to understand, and this is really important for everybody to understand, your soul is your template. When it connects to the physical body, the body adjusts to the template, to the soul. It's not the other way around. Your template merges into the physical form and it creates the bond through the nervous system. That's where the soul first connects to the body. It's not the brain. After it connects to the nervous system, it then seats itself in your chakras. The more you trust your soul, the more that you connect to yourself, and you don't even have to think about this actually, because most people don't. When you become aligned with your highest good, with Creator, with the energy, the flow of all that is, what happens is you automatically connect to those portions of yourself that are in higher frequencies or higher dimensions. You align yourself with that. those portions of you are obligated to assist you. And what happens is you are taking this physical form, the goal, I should say, you're taking this physical form and you're taking it and you're attaching yourself to a higher template, which would be in another frequency, say fourth. So you're taking this physical form and your soul, the portion of you that's here, and you're aligning itself and attaching to a higher template of yourself. Now you're in fourth. And then from there, you jump to fifth. Every multidimensional self of you is a higher template, an expansion, a template that is more expansive, more in depth, and contains a lot more energy. You have to prepare yourselves for that. Even when we die and we cross over, there is an adjustment period. Now, how all that happens, I can't tell you because I'm here. I'm not dead yet. But there's been plenty of experiences where people who have had near-death experiences, they've crossed over, they've had conversations, they felt completely different, and then when they were brought back, they were changed. They were not the same person. Other people who have come back from being dead for hours and hours, when they've come back into their physical body, the body was physically altered, changed, had a third strand, a fourth strand, a fifth strand. One guy had a sixth strand who lives in Australia somewhere. So when he died, he had two, and when he came back, he had six. This is what I'm talking about. Many of these kids that are coming in now, that are being born into the planet, they have the third strand. So they have already begun the process of merging the physical with their higher template of their soul. I don't know if I'm explaining this well enough. You know, sometimes there's just no words necessarily to explain some things. You know, English is limited. When you ask for and become the highest version of yourself, it will happen. It will happen. You just got to trust it. You got to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, We hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.